If you've ever been faced with a choice where turning back would be safer but moving forward might preserve your dignity. If you understand the feeling of having to step into the darkness, not out of a dream but because there is no other honest path left. This story might not be unfamiliar to you. Please like the video to support stories that are slow-paced, respectful of hard work, disciplined, and promote sustainable values. Share this with someone who is caught between safety and hope so they know that courage isn't recklessness, it's choosing the right thing to do. And if you're ready to continue this journey with Anna Whitlock on this challenging but authentic path, subscribe to begin the journey from the very first steps. Have you ever been faced with a choice where turning back would be safer? But it also means your life will become smaller, narrower, and less meaningful. Not everyone experiences that moment when they are young. Some people have to live almost half their lives before they stand on the edge where every step has a price and every hesitation costs them their self-respect. That night, Anna Whitlock stood alone on the edge of town. The prairie wind lashed against my collar, carrying the dry, biting cold of northern Wyoming. The silence was so profound I could hear my own breathing. In the distance, the flickering oil lamps of the town seemed unaware that a man was standing before the most important decision of his life. Anna is neither young nor old. At 42, she had weathered enough winters to understand that time was running out for trial and error. Her hair was neatly tied up under a worn woolen scarf. Her thick, ash-gray coat, once warm, now served only its purpose. Her leather shoes were carefully patched, not pretty but still usable. In her pocket, Anna had a few coins. Not many, enough for one at most 2 nights of cheap lodging. Not enough to expect any miracle. Before her lay a crumpled piece of paper, as if the person holding it had repeatedly unfolded and folded it, hesitant to make a decision. Night watch needed. Ranch far from town. Room and board provided. Just a few short lines. No name of the poster. No promises. No explanation. An invitation as raw and unvarnished as life itself. Anna had read it countless times since before dark. She knew exactly what it meant. In this border region, night shifts weren't for women. No one said it outright, but everyone understood. Night shifts meant isolation. Danger. Questions no one wanted to answer if something happened. Reputation in small towns like this is more fragile than an oil lamp in the wind. A whisper. A gaze that lingers longer than usual. An out-of-place, out-of-time presence. That's enough. If Anna went back now, she would be safer. She could find temporary work in town. Cleaning, laundry, cooking. A cramped room, identical days. Not starving, but not getting anywhere either. She's been living like that for too long. The wind blew harder. Anna pulled her collar up, her hand clutching the piece of paper in her pocket. She didn't tremble. Not because she wasn't afraid, but because this fear had become familiar, so familiar that it no longer fazed her. There was one thing Anna understood perfectly, so clearly that she didn't need to think about it further. Reputation doesn't feed a person. Hard work does. It's not some lofty philosophy, just a raw truth distilled from years of standing on her own 2 feet after everything else had fallen from her mind. People may praise you as a decent, respectable woman, but those words won't buy bread. They won't warm a room when winter comes. Anna once had a home, a simple but stable life. Until it's gone. She didn't blame anyone. Life doesn't need those who are at fault. It only needs those who are strong enough to keep going. Behind Anna, the town remained. The familiar streets, the faces that knew each other's stories. A place where if she stayed, people would nod sympathetically but also breathe a sigh of relief that she hadn't gone too far. Ahead, the dark road leading out of town offered almost nothing to hold on to. Just a vast expanse where each person was solely responsible for their own fate. Anna closed her eyes for a moment. Not for prayer. Just to ask a very simple question: if I don't leave, what do I have left to hold on to? The answer came sooner than she expected. Not many. It's just a worn-out sense of security, and a life that continues to shrink to fit within fear. Anna opened her eyes. Her gaze was unwavering. There was no romance in this decision. No yearning for adventure. Only the sobriety of someone who had reached the limit of the easy choices. She turned and walked towards the carriage waiting at the end of the street. Each step was firm. Not too fast. Not too slow. as if she had known she would do this for a long time. Only today did she have the courage to admit it. The coachman didn't ask many questions. In this region, people learned a crucial rule of life: don't ask questions whose answers won't help anyone. Anna climbed into the car, placing her small bag beside her. As the wheels began to roll, she didn't look back. Not because she hated the town, but because she knew that if she did, she might lose heart. The road ahead is dark. There are no guarantees. No promises have been made. But there was one thing Anna took with her, something no one could take away: the skill of hands accustomed to labor, the dignity of a woman who refuses to sell herself short, and the quiet courage of someone who understands that simply surviving is not enough. One must truly live. That night, as the carriage disappeared into the last lights of town, Anna Whitlock didn't know what she was about to enter. She only knew one thing: if she turned back, she would be safer. But if she continued, she had a chance to preserve herself. And for Anna, that was enough to step further into the darkness. The carriage had long since left town, as darkness completely enveloped the road ahead. The wheels rolled smoothly on the dry, hard ground, creating a steady, almost lulling sound. The steppe wind blew across, not fierce but constant, like a reminder that this place belonged to no one. Anna Whitlock sat upright on the wooden bench. She wasn't trying to sleep. Not out of fear, but because she was accustomed to staying awake during important life transitions. Moments like these, when the past was behind her and the future was yet to materialize, required a special level of alertness. The coachman stopped when dawn was approaching. "We've arrived," he said, his voice hoarse but calm. Before Anna lay a wide, gently sloping plot of land, surrounded by simple wooden fences. There was no gate, no nameplate. Just a low wooden house, its oil lamp casting a faint light from the east window, and a few rows of stables set back, half hidden in the morning mist. There was nothing welcoming, but there was nothing repelling either. Anna stepped out of the car, her feet firmly planted on the ground. She took a deep breath. The air here was completely different from town, dry, cold, and smelled of untouched earth, unspoiled by too many people. A very real smell. The coachman set down her bag, nodded in greeting, and then drove away immediately. No greetings, no questions, as if bringing her here was simply part of the natural rhythm of this land. Anna stood alone. The lights in the wooden house were on. Someone was awake. She adjusted her collar, picked up her bag, and walked towards the door. Each step was cautious, not out of fear, but because she understood that the first step in a strange place always needed to be taken carefully. The door opened before she could knock. The man standing there was of average height, with a sturdy build, broad but not ostentatious shoulders. He appeared to be in his early 40s, with dark hair tinged with gray at the temples. His face wasn't the kind that immediately drew attention, not sharp, not striking, but there was something about him that made it difficult to look away. Not because of appearance, but because of presence. "Are you from the town?" he asked. His voice was low and slow, without any hint of scrutiny. "Yes," Anna replied. "Because of the news item." He nodded and opened the door wider. "Come in. It's cold." Inside the log cabin, it was warmer than Anna had imagined. Not because of the large fireplace, but because everything was neat and orderly. There was no clutter, no decorations. Every item had a reason to be there. The man closed the door and hung his thick coat on the wooden hook. "I'm Caleb Morgan. Rita's heaven. Abity." Anna looked at him and nodded. Anna Whitlock. No handshake, no formalities. Just two names placed down in the middle of the room, like two new items needing careful consideration before use. Caleb pulled out a chair. "Sit down. You've had a long journey." Anna sat down, placing her bag at the foot of the chair. She didn't take off her coat. "Not yet." Caleb poured water into 2 tin cups, pushing one toward her. "I'll tell you first," he began without looking directly at her. "This job isn't easy. Night shift. Alone. No supervision." Anna held the cup, warm steam rising from it. "I understand. Nobody will notice whether she does a good job or not," Caleb continued. "Only when something happens will people remember." Anna took a sip of water, then set the glass down. "I don't work to be remembered." Caleb looked at her carefully for the first time. "It's not about judging looks. It's about considering what you say." "Have you ever worked on a ranch before?" he asked. "Yes," Anna replied. "Night shift. 2 winters." Caleb didn't ask where. He didn't ask why they were leaving. He understood that those questions wouldn't help the work go any better. "Here," he said, "everything is clear. You work. I pay you. Accommodation is in the back of the house. Fixed hours. No exceptions. Anna nodded. I'm not looking for exceptions. Caleb rose, took an oil lamp, and motioned for her to follow. They went outside, the morning dew still clinging to the ground. He pointed out each area, the eastern stables, the food storehouse, the area off limits at night. There's a bell here, he said, pointing to the rope hanging by the barn door. Only pull it when absolutely necessary. I'll listen. Anna observed carefully, remembering every detail. She asked no unnecessary questions. She offered no comments. They stopped in front of a small room separate from the main house. Her room, Caleb said. Simple but sufficient. Anna opened the door. A wooden bed, a small table, an oil lamp. Clean. No sign that anyone else had stayed long. It's fine, she said. Caleb nodded. He turned and walked a few steps before stopping. I need to make one thing clear, he said, his voice lower. I didn't post the ad because I was short on staff. Anna turned to look at him. I've done everything alone for years, Caleb continued. I'm used to it. But… He paused, as if considering. Things shouldn't always be done alone. He offered no further explanation, nor did he apologize for talking too much. Anna looked at him for a moment. Then she nodded slightly. So we'll start tonight, she said. Caleb didn't smile, but in his eyes something had settled gently but genuinely. Okay, he replied. They stood there for a moment, no one speaking further. The wind blew through the wooden fence, carrying the scent of damp earth. A new day was beginning, but no one was in a hurry. Neither of them thought about the distant future. Neither of them could name what was beginning to emerge. Only one simple truth has been put in its proper place. Two people, both long enough to understand the value of clarity, agree to coexist in the same rhythm of life, not out of hope, but out of necessity. And that's enough for the first day. The sun sets slowly over Raven's Reach, as if this land is never in a hurry to end a day. The light fades on the rows of stables, casting long shadows on the dry ground. The wind blows steadily, not bitterly cold, but enough to remind us that the night here is not for the impatient. Anna Whitlock stood before her small room, adjusted her sleeves, and hung her thick coat on a wooden hook. She did nothing hastily. Every movement was orderly, as if she were rearranging herself to enter a new rhythm of life. On the table was an oil lamp, its wick trimmed. Anna lit it, checked the brightness, then extinguished it. She didn't need the lamp now. It wasn't completely dark yet, and she was used to saving light, a habit formed from years of fending for herself. Outside, the sound of barn doors opening and closing echoed regularly. Caleb Morgan was doing a final check before nightfall. He didn't call Anna, nor did he signal. Everyone was doing their part without needing confirmation. That's what made Anna feel relieved. As darkness fell, Anna put on her coat, took her oil lamp, and went outside. The dirt path leading to the eastern barn was already imprinted in her memory from the afternoon. She walked slowly, not because she was afraid of stumbling, but because the first night was not for proving herself, but for getting acquainted. The east stables were quiet. The horses stood straight, breathing evenly. Anna walked along the row of stables, stopping at each one, observing, not touching them immediately, just looking. Ears, eyes, breathing, small signs that only someone with enough night watch experience would notice. She set the lamp down in a corner where the light wouldn't shine directly into the horse's eyes. Then she sat down on the low wooden stool by the stable door. No, leaning back, not relaxing too much. Night watch was for being there, not for resting. The wind changed direction. Anna sensed it immediately. The scent of dry grass mingled with the smell of damp earth. She pulled up her collar and listened. Nothing unusual. But this stillness wasn't emptiness. It was filled with small sounds, the gentle scraping of hooves on the floor, faint sighs, the rustling of wind through the cracks in the wood. In this ranch, the nights are quiet, but they demand constant attention. Anna thought about the town, about the cheap boarding house where voices echoed through the thin walls, where people always knew what she was doing, where she was going, and with whom. Here it was different. No one was watching. No one was judging. But no one would come unless she called herself. That thought didn't scare Anna. It kept her alert. Near midnight she rose and walked around once more. An old horse at the end of the row stirred slightly. Anna stopped, placed her hand on its neck and spoke softly, not to reassure it but to mark her presence. The horse let out a long sigh, then stood still. "Okay," Anna whispered. Not to it. To herself. She returned to her chair and sat down. The oil lamp provided enough light. She didn't need any more. Years of night duty had taught her that the human eye needs darkness to see better. In the distance, Anna heard footsteps. Not hurried, not heavy. She didn't turn around immediately. Only when the footsteps stopped at a safe distance did she tilt her head. Caleb stood outside the cage, not going in. He didn't have a lamp. He just stood there, letting his eyes adjust to the darkness. "Are you all right?" he asked, his voice low. "It's fine," Anna replied. Nothing more to add. Caleb nodded and turned away. The sound of his footsteps faded away, then disappeared completely. That brief exchange, just 2 words, but for Anna it meant something. Not because he was asked a question, but because he knew where to stand. The night dragged on. The fog thickened. Anna got up several times, walked around, checked things out. No incidents. No surprises. It was a good night in the way people in this profession do. As dawn approached, the eastern sky faded. Anna's breathing slowed. She didn't feel victorious. She only felt she had completed another night. When there was enough light to see the path clearly, Anna turned off the lamp and hung it back on the hook. She wasn't in a hurry to go back to her room. She walked around one more time, making sure everything was in place. Only then did she return. Outside the room, a bottle of warm milk was neatly placed on the wooden steps. Anna paused. She looked at the bottle of milk for a moment. She didn't pick it up right away. No message. No one standing there. Not a favor. Just a new habit being laid down carefully without pressure. Anna picked up the bottle of milk, opened the cap, and took a small sip. The milk was still warm. She closed the cap and placed it on the table. She sat down on the bed, took off her shoes, and neatly arranged them under the table. Her hands were a little tired. Not sore. Just tired, the pleasant tiredness of someone who had done the right thing at the right time. Outside, the ranch awakens. The sound of a door opening. The wind changing direction. A new day begins, not much different from yesterday. But for Anna, the rhythm has already been set. At the main house, Caleb Morgan stood by the window watching the light spread across the rows of barns. He didn't think of the past night as a test. He simply noted one thing: everything had gone according to plan. He picked up the cup, took a sip of the cold coffee. Then he set it down. No smile. No sigh of relief. Just a slight feeling of lightness, but enough to notice. As Anna stepped out onto the porch to hang up her coat, Caleb turned around. "Did you sleep well?" he asked. "That's enough," Anna replied. He nodded. "Good." No one said anything more. No one mentioned the bottle of milk. The day's work begins. The sheds need cleaning. The fences need checking. The tasks never end. But in that repetition, one thing is different. The night is no longer an anonymous void. For those who have lived long enough, it's a big change. Not because of feelings, not because of hope, but that's because someone set the rhythm when night falls. And so Raven's Reach entered a new phase quietly, without fanfare, simply 2 mature individuals, each in their own place, so that tomorrow wouldn't have to start from scratch. Morning in Raven's Reach doesn't come suddenly. It creeps in slowly, like water seeping through dry earth after a long night. The thin light spreads across the wooden fence, the barn roof, and the familiar paths, each subtle change only noticeable to those who have lived long enough. Anna Whitlock began her day by hanging her blanket on the porch, as was her habit. She neither hurried nor slowed down. For her, rhythm was something that had to be maintained, especially in a place where everything depended on precise repetition. Caleb Morgan walked along the west fence, inspecting the wooden posts. He worked alone as usual, without calling Anna for help. At Raven's Reach, everyone had their part to do, and respect began with not interfering unless necessary. By midday, the wind had changed direction. It wasn't a strong gust of wind, just a very slight change, so slight that a stranger wouldn't notice. But Anna did. She stopped what she was doing, looked up, and took a deep breath. The smell of damp earth mixed with dry grass was different. A northeast wind, not good for the night. She said nothing. She simply noted it down. Evening fell earlier than usual. Thin clouds drifted by, obscuring some of the sunlight. Anna prepared her oil lamp more carefully, trimming the wick neatly. She checked the alarm bell, gently pulling at a faint metallic click enough to know it was still working. Caleb walked past the east barn and stopped. "The wind has changed," he said as a comment, not a question. "Yes," Anna replied. "It's colder tonight." Caleb nodded. No one said anything more. There was information that only needed to be confirmed. When it was completely dark, Anna went on her shift. This night was different from the first. It wasn't as quiet as before. There wasn't the deep stillness. Instead, there were fragmented sounds, a dry rustling from the distant fence, a more frequent, gentle scratching of hooves than usual. Anna wasn't in a hurry. She walked around slowly, observing. A young horse in the middle row was restless, its ears perked up, its eyes wide. Not panicked. But something wasn't right. Anna set the lamp down, standing at a safe distance. She didn't touch it immediately. She waited. The wind blew through the gaps in the wood, causing the lamp to sway gently. The horse stamped its hooves. "Calm down," Anna whispered. Not a command. Just a shared breath. She checked the cage door. The latch was secure. There was enough food. No strange smells. The problem wasn't with the materials. Outside, another sound was heard, very faint, from the direction of the west fence. Anna stood straight, listening. The wind carried the sound away, making it difficult to discern. She didn't ring the doorbell. Not enough reason. Anna turned back to the horse. She placed her hand on its neck, feeling its heartbeat. Faster than usual. She understood. A new breeze, a new scent, a new night for the young animal that was more than enough. She took off her coat, hung it on the wall, and stood closer. The lights were turned so they wouldn't shine directly on her. She was there, not saying much, just the right kind of presence. Time passed. The horse calmed down. Its breathing slowed. Anna didn't leave immediately. She counted the beats, 10, 20 to be sure. Footsteps stopped outside the coop. Caleb stood there, holding the lamp without entering. "Is there anything you need?" he asked. "The child is restless," Anna replied. "The wind." Caleb looked at the horse, then at Anna. He nodded. "I'll check the fence." "Yes." No further discussion. The work has been assigned to the right place. Caleb left. Anna stayed. She sat down on a chair, her eyes fixed on the coop. The night continued its test, not violently but persistently. The wind blew steadily. A plank in the distant fence creaked. Around midnight the sound changed. It wasn't the wind. Anna stood up immediately. She didn't run. She walked quickly, pulled on her coat, and grabbed a lamp. The young horse startled and spun around. Anna kept her distance, gesturing with her hand. She heard the sound of a small animal running through the bushes, possibly a fox. Not a direct threat, but enough to unsettle everyone in the row of stables. Anna pondered. Should she ring the bell or not? She didn't pull. Instead, she opened the door of the adjacent cage, letting in more light, creating a safe zone. She stood between the two cages, her voice low and even. No yelling. No coaxing. The effects are slow to come, but they will come. After a while, familiar footsteps returned. Caleb stood in the doorway, the hanging lamps positioned low. "The fence is fine," he said. "There are signs of a small animal." "I think so," Anna replied. "There's no need to change shifts." Caleb looked at her. His gaze wasn't judgmental. It was one of acknowledgement. "Okay," he said. "I live nearby." He didn't go in. He didn't stand too close. He stayed just near enough to respond quickly if necessary. That was the first time Anna realized something small but crucial. Caleb didn't need control to feel secure. He just needed to know his place in the rhythm. Night fell. The wind died down. The young horse stood still, sighing occasionally. Anna sat back down in her chair. She didn't fully relax until the eastern sky faded. Near dawn, Anna switched off the lights and took one last look around. No further incidents. A difficult night, but a good one. Outside the room there was another bottle of milk. This time there was a small piece of paper neatly placed there as well. "The wind has changed. Drink this to warm yourself up." No signature. Anna took the piece of paper, folded it, and put it in her pocket. She drank her milk this time, finishing it. Not because she was hungry, but because she understood this wasn't a favor, it was a collaboration. The sun rose. Caleb was on the porch adjusting a hinge. He looked up as Anna came out. "How was last night?" he asked. "It's fine," Anna replied. "Just a little offbeat." Caleb nodded. "It's been adjusted." "Yes." They stood there for a while, each doing their own work. No praise. No reports. But one thing had changed. They knew that when the rhythm was off, there was a way to get it back on track. For those who have lived long enough, it is the foundation of everything sustainable. Not an emotion, not a promise. Rather, it's about the ability to handle things when they're no longer smooth sailing. Raven's Reach continued its days like that, not perfect, but rhythmic. And in that disciplined repetition, the two adults were learning a shared lesson. Going together doesn't make the work easier, but it makes it less lonely. That night came after a long day with no unusual signs. The sun set later than usual. The lingering light on the distant hills cast a pale yellow hue over Raven's Reach, as if the land were not yet ready to close out the workday. The wind was gentle. The weather wasn't suddenly cold. Everything seemed normal. And it was precisely that ordinariness that caught Anna Whitlock's attention. She had lived long enough to understand that important nights rarely come with warning. They arrive quietly on days no one remembers. Anna prepared for her shift as usual. She checked the lights. She checked the bells. She observed each stall. All the horses stood still, breathing evenly. None were restless. No unusual noises. But as she passed the north stall, Anna paused for a moment longer than usual. The chestnut mare stood with her head turned toward the wall, her neck lowered more than usual. She didn't move. She didn't paw the ground. But her breathing was heavier. Anna didn't touch it right away. She stood still, observing. The difference lay in the detail. A subtle change in how the animal distributed its body weight. A sign easily overlooked if one were merely looking for the moment. Anna nodded slightly to herself. Not yet. But soon. She didn't tell Caleb. Not yet. At this stage, early intervention would only cause more stress. Anna adjusted the lights, making sure the cage wasn't too bright. She placed the necessary items in their usual spot. Not laid out, just left nearby. The night passed slowly. Near midnight, Anna returned to the north stable. The horse had changed its posture. Its tail was raised. Its breathing was more rapid. Its ears twitched slightly with each contraction. Anna placed her hand on its neck. This time, she touched it. Okay, she said softly. Not reassuring, not encouraging, just confirmation. She rang the bell. The bell rang out long, deep, and steady. Not frantic, not panicked. A clear signal the time had come. Less than a minute later, familiar footsteps appeared. Caleb Morgan stood outside the coop holding a lamp, unhurried. He looked inside, then at Anna. Has it begun? He asked. Not yet, Anna replied. But soon, Caleb nodded. He hung the lamp on the hook, standing in the spot she had indicated earlier. Not in the middle. No further questions. Anna knelt down, maintaining the necessary distance. She monitored each contraction, not counting them numerically. She counted the rhythm. The coming rhythm, the going rhythm. Which rhythm was deep enough? Which wasn't? The time has been extended. To outsiders, this moment might be nerve-wracking, but for Anna, this was the most important part, waiting for the right moment. She had seen too many failed births simply because people were impatient. The horse breathed heavily, then stopped. It breathed again. Sweat dripped down its neck. Anna adjusted the lamp slightly, just a little, so the light wouldn't startle the animal. Caleb stood still. He didn't ask how much longer. He didn't ask, do you need help? He had learned that silence at the right time is a form of support. When the first strong contraction came, Anna shifted her position. She signaled to Caleb to move the light to the left. He did so immediately without delay or unnecessary effort. Not yet, Anna said, even though everything looked ready. Wait. Caleb nodded. When the next attack came, Anna acted. Every movement was precise, not forceful, no hesitation. She provided support in the right place with the right force. There were no lengthy words of encouragement, just her steady breathing blending into the air. There was a brief moment, a very brief moment, when everything paused. The horse whimpered softly. Anna tilted her head, adjusting her angle. She put her hands back in place, steady. Calm down, she said. Not with the horse, with the stable. And then things slipped past the critical point. The baby was born wet, trembling, but breathing. A very faint breath, but enough. Anna quickly wiped the foal's airways clean and placed it in a safe position. The horse lowered its head, sniffed, and then let out a long sigh as if a heavy burden had been lifted. Anna rose slowly. She didn't smile. She didn't sigh in relief. She just checked again, one more time, to make sure. "It's all right," she said. Caleb watched the scene, saying nothing. He simply nodded. But in his eyes there was a clear change. Trust was no longer an assumption. Anna cleaned. Not in a hurry. Not missing a beat. She did it in the same order as she had done dozens of times before in places where no one remembered her name. Caleb entered after everything was finished. He stood at a respectful distance, watching the calf, struggling to stand, trembling but determined. "You're doing a good job," he said. Just 4 words. No more. Anna nodded. Just the right thing to do. Caleb didn't argue. He understood that for people like Anna, doing the right thing was already a reward. They left the pen near dawn. A thin mist hung in the air. The air was cool but not biting. The first night of birth was over, leaving behind a very different kind of peace. Not the peace of stillness, but the peace of something that had been placed in its proper place. Outside Anna's room, the bottle of milk was still there. This time there was also a clean, neatly folded towel. Anna took the handkerchief, looked at it for a second, then carried it into the room. That morning, Raven's Reach was no different than the day before. But for Caleb Morgan, the ranch had just changed in one very important way. He was no longer the only one who knew what to do when the night got tough. And for Anna Whitlock, that night marked something equally important. She was no longer just a hired hand. Not because anyone said it. Not because anyone acknowledged it. But the job itself placed her in that position. In lands like Raven's Reach, status isn't given by words. It's built through long nights by trembling hands that never err, by the calmness when no one is watching. And from that first night of birth, the ranch's rhythm of life was never the same again. It's more stable, slower, and less lonely. The event didn't come with gunfire. It came with absence. Anna Whitlock realized this before the alarm went off. That night, Raven's Reach was strangely quiet. There was no wind, no smell of fresh earth, no familiar rustling of the west wing of the stables. Too quiet, a kind of quiet that would make a seasoned night watchman uneasy. Anna rose from her chair, picked up her oil lamp, and walked faster than usual, but not hastily. She didn't run. Running would only make her heart race and dull her hearing. At this moment, listening was necessary, not rushing. She paused between the rows of stables. Her ears listened. Her eyes adjusted to the darkness. There was no sound of horses breathing heavily. No sound of hooves hitting the floor. Anna turned toward the west fence. Something is missing. She took a few more steps. The lamp was lowered so the light wouldn't spread too far. When she got near the third stall, Anna stopped completely. The door was still closed. The latch wasn't broken, but the space inside the 2 horses were no longer there. "Don't panic. Don't scream." Anna took a deep breath, then rang the bell. This time the bell rang long and sharply, a completely different rhythm from before. Not a birth announcement. Not a wind announcement. An announcement of disorder. Just a few breaths later, another light appeared at the entrance. Caleb Morgan arrived quickly. No questions. No calls. He stood beside Anna, looking in the direction she pointed. "How long has it been?" he asked. "Not long ago," Anna replied. "The lock is still intact." Caleb nodded. He didn't swear. He didn't mutter. He just turned and gestured a short, familiar motion that he would circle north while Anna checked the tracks near the barn. They separated without needing a verbal agreement. Anna lowered the lamp and bent low. Faint footprints appeared on the dry ground, not the hoofprints of a panicked horse. A steady rhythm. Calculated. She counted the distances between the tracks, no rushing, no dragging. At least 2 people. Not drunk. Not hasty. They're not reckless. They're competent people. She followed them for a short distance and then stopped. Not in the night. Not knowing where they were going. Not alone. Anna turned back, raising her flashlight, a signal for Caleb. Caleb appeared from the north. He shook his head. "The outer fence has been breached in the same spot." "They know ranch," Anna said. "Yes." They stood there, the wind not blowing. The night seemed to press down. Caleb looked toward the path leading out to the prairie. He knew going any further now would be putting himself at a disadvantage. "Wait until morning," he said. Anna nodded. Wait. No one argued. No one proved their bravery. Bravery wouldn't get the horse back. They returned, checked what remained, counted the herd again, memorized the order. Anna went around, reassuring the remaining horses, not overly petting, speaking softly, keeping the lamplight steady. When things had calmed down somewhat, they sat on the porch steps. A lamp was placed low between them so as not to let the light shine outwards. Caleb spoke first. "I've been through it once. Years ago." Anna didn't ask for details. She just nodded. "They'll come back if they find it easy. Don't film if you see someone watching." Anna looked at him. "The soup isn't meant for standing around." Caleb let out a soft sigh. The timing is perfect. They were silent. Not because they didn't know what to say, but because some things needed to be put aside, not explained. Dawn broke slowly. The fog lifted. Footprints became clearer. Caleb examined them more carefully, memorizing the direction. Anna prepared hot food not because she was hungry, but because her body needed to stay awake. When the sun was high enough, Caleb harnessed his horse, preparing to follow the tracks. He didn't say "I'm going alone" as a statement, but his manner of doing so made it clear. Anna stood on the porch. "I'll go with you." Caleb paused. He turned as if to say something, then stopped. He nodded. "Keep your distance," he said. "Don't chase." "I know," Anna replied. They went slowly, following the tracks without making a fuss. At one point the tracks disappeared. At another they reappeared. By midday they saw where the tracks had turned towards rocky terrain, difficult to follow, easy to get lost. Caleb stopped. He looked at Anna. "It's not worth it." Anna looked in the direction of the turn, then turned back. "It's not worth it." They returned. 2 horses lost. No lives lost. No further disruption of order. That's an acceptable price to pay in this world. Upon arriving back at the ranch, Caleb's first action wasn't to take an inventory. He reinforced the locks, repositioned the lights, adjusted the inspection schedule. Anna assisted without being assigned a task. As evening fell, a neighbor stopped by. He heard the news. His gaze was scrutinizing, not malicious, just habitual. Caleb answered briefly. He didn't elaborate. He didn't assign blame. "It has been dealt with," he said. The other man nodded. His gaze swept over Anna. This time it was different. No longer the stranger standing on the night shift. That night, Anna started her shift earlier. The lights were positioned differently. The pace was different. Caleb didn't ask, "Are you okay?" as usual. He just stood closer, at a distance he could reach in a few breaths. The night was not peaceful, but the night was orderly. Near dawn, Anna saw a small shadow dart past another wild animal. She didn't ring the bell. She adjusted the light. Everything returned to its place. Outside the room, the bottle of milk was gone. Instead, there was a cup of hot coffee placed against the wall to prevent it from cooling down quickly. Anna picked it up. She took a sip. Bitter. Just the right taste. In the morning, Caleb stood by the fence, gazing into the distance. He said without turning around, "I'm used to this." Anna replied, "Now I'm not alone anymore." Caleb was silent. But this silence was different. It wasn't closed. It was open. Raven's Reach didn't get the 2 horses back. But the ranch got something else, something more important. The certainty that when the night wasn't silent, someone would be standing in the right place. For those who have lived long enough, it's not a victory. It's a foundation. News in places like Raven's Reach doesn't need a messenger. It travels by glance. By the way people pause their conversations when you walk in. By the longer than usual silence that follows a greeting. The theft of 2 horses wasn't uncommon. But the fact that a woman working the night shift at the ranch was robbed was enough to spark a conversation. No one spoke directly. They just looked and looked again, as if measuring something unnameable. Anna Whitlock realized this the very next morning. The neighbor arrived earlier than usual. He stood on the porch speaking to Caleb in a voice just loud enough to be heard. When Anna came out, the conversation slowed down. Not stopped. Just brief. A small gesture, but clear enough. "Are you on night duty?" he asked Anna. Not exactly out of curiosity, nor entirely out of politeness. "Yes," Anna replied. "Every night I do what's right." The man nodded. He asked no further questions, but his gaze lingered on Anna's hands, calloused hands, before turning away. He greeted Caleb, left the porch, and carried with him an unspoken question. Caleb stood still for a moment, then turned to Anna. "Don't mind it." Anna hung up her coat. "I don't. That's not reassurance. That's the truth." At this age, Anna was all too familiar with the fact that people need a reason to accept what they are unfamiliar with. And she also understood that reason doesn't lie in the explanation. It lies in the time and the way things are done. In the days that followed, more people visited Raven's Reach. Some came to inquire genuinely. Some came to look. Some simply stood at a distance and then left. Caleb answered briefly and appropriately. No justifications. No defenses. No request for understanding. Anna did her job as usual. Arrived on time. Checked in the correct order. Kept the lights in place. No one could say she had done anything wrong, but people still found ways to find fault. One afternoon, when the wind had died down, Caleb repaired the north barn door. Anna brought some wooden nails. They worked side by side in little conversation. Someone said Caleb began his voice low that since you arrived this ranch has become noisier. Anna remained silent, not lifting her head. They're used to being quiet. Old-fashioned silence, Caleb said. Anna nodded. That silence comes at a price. Caleb stopped what he was doing. He looked out at the prairie where the trail stretched on. They weren't wrong, he said. But they weren't right either. Anna put the hammer down. This ranch isn't disordered because there are people in it. It becomes disordered when there's only one person. Caleb didn't reply, but the words lingered in my mind. That night, Anna started her shift early. There was no wind. The moonlight was faint. Everything was quiet. Just quiet enough. Near midnight, Caleb appeared at the entrance to the barn. No lights. He stood there, leaning against a wooden post. Is everything all right? He asked. Fine. Caleb didn't leave immediately. He lingered for a few moments. Then, as if speaking to the night, he said, I'm not used to people looking at this ranch as if it's changing. Anna didn't turn around. Every ranch changes. I don't always want to, Caleb said. Anna remained silent. Not because she didn't understand, but because this was the moment for him to continue. Caleb took a deep breath. I've held things together for a long time. Not because I liked it. Because I needed to. He paused. I was afraid that if I let go, everything would fall apart. Anna turned to look at him. The light slanted, not revealing Caleb's entire face. But it was enough to show that weariness had been there for a long time. Letting go of one hand, Anna said slowly, is not the same as leaving. Caleb smiled faintly. Not happily. To me, it's similar. Anna stepped closer, not too close. He won't let go. He'll split it. Caleb looked at her. This time his gaze was no longer defensive. It was open slightly, but enough. I'm not good at that, he said. I know, Anna replied. He didn't publish the news because he's good at it. Caleb sighed. This time it was a longer sigh. I posted because I'm tired. The words fell heavy but true. No one rushed to pick them up. A small noise was heard in the stable. A horse stirred. Anna turned to check, then returned to her seat. He's not weak, Anna said. He's just been alone for too long. Caleb nodded. He didn't object. The night passed. No further incidents. But what had been said could not be taken back. It lay between them not as a promise, but as a truth laid bare in its proper place. The next morning, more people from the area arrived. Someone asked Caleb if he needed more guards. Caleb refused. We've already made adjustments. His gaze swept over Anna again. This time it wasn't scrutinizing. It was thoughtful. An elderly woman stopped by handing out bread. For the night shift, she said. She didn't look at anyone in particular. Anna accepted the cake, nodded in thanks. No explanation, no refusal. As evening approached, Caleb revised the exam schedule. Anna offered a brief suggestion. Caleb listened. No argument. That night, Anna noticed the lights in the main house were turned off later than usual. Caleb wasn't out on the porch as he always did. But as she made her final walk around, he stood far enough away to hear the bell. Outside the room, the bottle of milk was back. No note. No message. Anna took a sip. Then she set the bottle down, not taking it inside. She left it there as a sign that everything was finding its place. That morning, Caleb said, as if making a decision, I'll tell them that she's staying. Anna replied, I've been here all along. Caleb nodded. But now I'll tell you. That's not about protection. That's about naming something that already exists. The rumors gradually died down. Not disappeared, but became less intense. People got used to the new image, not because they liked it, but because they had no reason to object. For those who have lived long enough, acceptance doesn't come through persuasion. It comes as things continue to function. The following night, as Anna was about to start her shift, Caleb said one last thing before turning away. "Thank you for staying." Anna replied, "I'm here for work." Caleb nodded. Yes, that's where they understood each other. Raven's Reach didn't become any more peaceful, but it became less fragile. And for Caleb Morgan, the fear of loss didn't disappear, it just wasn't something he had to bear alone anymore. For Anna Whitlock, her position wasn't given by a declaration. It was affirmed with each night that passed properly, and that's how sustainable things begin, not flashy, not romantic, just real enough to stand the test of time. That night came after a turbulent day. There were no incidents, no bad news, but the air carried a heavy, hard-to-describe feeling, as if this land was holding something back, waiting to release it when night fell. Anna Whitlock noticed it that afternoon. The old mare in the east stable wasn't eating all the grass. She stood for long periods, shifted her legs frequently, and occasionally turned her head toward her belly. The signs weren't obvious, but they were out of rhythm. Anna noted it down but said nothing. She had learned that speaking too soon only made others impatient. Caleb Morgan also noticed something. He stood in front of the barn longer than usual, his hand on the wooden post, listening. "It's cloudy tonight," he said, as if making a observation. "Yes," Anna replied, "and the wind is low." They looked at each other for a moment. Neither said anything more. As night fell, thick clouds obscured the moon. The light faded more quickly than usual. Anna prepared more carefully. An extra oil lamp was placed on standby, warm water was ready, and clean towels were neatly folded. Nothing was laid out, just enough to be easily reached. Near midnight, the mare began to breathe heavily. Not violently, but irregularly. Anna went into the stable, knelt down, and placed her hands on its neck. Its heart rate was high. Its belly was distended. But the position wasn't right. Anna rang the bell. The bell rang long, deep, and heavy, not the usual sound of a birth. Caleb appeared almost immediately. He hung the lamp and stood in position. "Shall we begin?" he asked. "Yes," Anna replied, "but it's not convenient." Caleb didn't ask, "Is it dangerous?" He knew the answer lay in how Anna adjusted the lighting and her position. "It takes a long time." The contractions came and went. They came again, then stopped. The horse whimpered softly, a low, not panicked but painful sound. Anna adjusted patiently, little by little. She didn't intervene prematurely. She didn't try to help when it wasn't necessary. The wrong timing here could cost a life. Sweat beaded on Anna's forehead. She didn't wipe it away. She was concentrating. Caleb held the lamp steady. His hands didn't tremble, but his shoulders were stiff. He'd witnessed enough births to know tonight wouldn't be easy. When the contractions intensified, Anna signaled. Caleb adjusted the lamp. The light was angled, not harsh. Anna checked quickly, then stopped. "Not yet," she said. "Wrong angle." Caleb nodded. He took a half step back. He didn't ask how. The next contraction came more forcefully. The horse jerked, straining. Anna placed her hand, adjusted the angle very gently, and then stopped. She waited for the animal's body to do its part. A moment passed as if in stillness. No one breathed heavily. The wind outside the barn whistled softly through the cracks in the wood. Then Anna said in a low but clear voice, "Now." She acted. Not too fast, not too slow, with just the right amount of force. Caleb held the lamp. He could clearly see what was happening and clearly see when things weren't going as expected. "The baby is trapped." Just a little, but enough to be dangerous. Anna didn't increase the force. She shifted the angle, changed position very slightly. "Hold," she said. Caleb kept without asking what he kept. Another contraction. The horse groaned. Anna tilted her head, assessing. Then she did what only someone who had been through enough would dare to do. She stopped. "No," she said. "If you continue, it will tear." Caleb swallowed hard. "What are you doing?" Anna looked at him. Her gaze was brief and decisive. "I need time. And peace." Caleb nodded. He lowered the lamp, dimming the light. He stepped back half a pace, creating space. He did the hardest thing in a difficult birth, not to intervene. Time dragged on. The horse breathed heavily, then slowly. Anna was there, her hands in place, keeping the rhythm. She spoke softly, not reassuringly, just guiding the breathing. The contraction came again. This time, It was different. Anna felt it. She adjusted the angle once more very slightly, then provided support. Everything slipped past the critical point. The baby is born slowly, wet and silent. Caleb held his breath. Anna didn't panic. She quickly wiped the airway gently and correctly stimulating it. 1 beat. 2 beats. Then, a weak breath, but there it was. Caleb exhaled silently. Anna placed the baby in a safe position and checked on the mother. Her breathing gradually became regular. She didn't smile. She just stayed there until everything was truly all right. "It's all right," she said. Caleb nodded. He didn't say thank you. Not now. He watched the trembling infant struggling to stand, persevering like all new life. They cleaned. Slowly, precisely, without missing a beat. When I left the barn, it was almost dawn. The clouds had parted a little, revealing a thin strip of light in the east. The air was cold but clean. Caleb stopped leaning against the pillar. He looked at Anna, this time for longer. "I was scared," he said very softly. Not an admission, just the truth. Anna nodded. "Me too." Caleb was surprised. "Don't you see?" Anna looked out at the prairie. "Fear doesn't disappear. It just isn't at the wheel anymore." Caleb was silent. The words lingered in his mind. Outside Anna's room, a bottle of milk sat next to a bowl of hot porridge, simple. No note, no words. Anna ate it all. Not because she was hungry, but because she had taken more than usual during the night. When morning came, Caleb didn't start work right away. He stood on the porch looking at the east barn. Then, he said, as if making a mature decision, "From now on, when there is a difficult birth, you decide." Anna turned around. "He's still there." Caleb nodded. "Right place." They said nothing more. No need. Locals stopped by that afternoon. Upon hearing about the difficult birth that night, their gazes changed completely. They were no longer scrutinizing. The deliberation was complete. As evening fell, Anna went to check on things as usual. Everything was calm, but calm in a new way, not calm because of luck, but because there was a process in place for the difficult. At night, Anna went on her shift. Caleb stood closer, not right next to her. The distance was enough to hear the bell ring for a few breaths. The night offered no further challenges. But what had happened could not be undone. Raven's reach didn't get easier, but it did grow, just like the people who stand within it. And in that process of growth, one thing was quietly confirmed. When things demand more than just discipline, it's the right kind of faith that keeps the rhythm going. The morning following a difficult birth comes very slowly. It wasn't because the sun was lazy, but because Raven's reach seemed to hold its breath. A soft light streamed across the meadow, not blinding. The mist dissipated in small patches, revealing old wheel tracks and familiar footprints, things that didn't disappear overnight. Anna Whitlock woke up earlier than usual, not because she couldn't sleep, but because her body was used to waking up while everything was still settling in. She put on her coat, stepped out onto the porch, and took a deep breath. The air was cold but clean. The night had passed, leaving behind a very different kind of stillness, not empty but rearranged. The eastern stable was quiet. The mare stood eating slowly. The foal lay close beside her, occasionally stirring and breathing steadily. Anna watched for a long time without going in. There are moments when all you need is to watch from afar. Caleb Morgan appeared on the porch carrying 2 cups of coffee. He placed one on the railing without speaking. Anna took it and nodded. "You did the right thing last night," Caleb said, as a confirmation, not a compliment. Anna took a sip. "You too." They stood there, sipping their slowly cooling coffee, in no hurry to return to work. For the first time since Anna arrived at Raven's Reach, the morning didn't begin with a to-do list. It began with a silence long enough for both of them to know that everything remained as it was. A neighbor arrived on horseback in the middle of the day. He dismounted, tied his horse, and stood at the edge of the yard, not walking straight in. "I heard it was difficult last night," he said, looking towards the barn. "Difficult," Caleb replied. "But it's all right." The other person's gaze shifted to Anna. This time, it wasn't scrutinizing. "Are you on duty?" "Yes," Anna replied. The man nodded, as if a calculation had just been solved. "Good." Just one word. But that's enough. He left shortly afterward. No further questions. No advice. The recognition here is often brief and lasting. At noon, Caleb repaired a hinge on a shed door. Anna handed him the nails. They worked side by side, slowly. Neither rushed the other. When finished, Caleb didn't immediately return to his other tasks. He sat down on the steps, setting his hammer aside. I've never told her, he began, his gaze distant, why I hate difficult births. Anna sat down on the lower step. She didn't ask why. She waited. Years ago, Caleb said, I was at a different ranch. I was younger. I was quicker. And I thought I knew enough. He paused. That night I intervened too soon. Too soon. Anna didn't react. She didn't nod. She didn't sigh. Her silence was a safe space. The calf didn't make it, Caleb continued. Neither did the mother. He swallowed hard. I stood there until morning. No one said I was wrong, but I knew. A gentle breeze blew. A wooden plank creaked. Anna looked out at the meadow, then turned back. He learned that at a high price, she said. Caleb nodded. From then on, I chose to do things myself. Take responsibility. No asking for help. No sharing. Anna placed her hand on the wooden step. Sharing doesn't erase memories, but it eases things up, Caleb said, as if answering himself. They were silent. There was no comfort. Only the truth was laid down, not pushed aside. As evening fell, more locals visited Raven's Reach. It wasn't noisy. Some brought hay. Some brought bread. No one said, thank you for saving me. They talked about the weather, about the fence, about the next season. That's how the community acknowledges you, drawing you into the rhythm of everyday conversation. An elderly woman stood on the porch watching Anna retie the ropes. Are you free? She asked. I need someone to watch the barn tonight. Just for one night. Anna turned to Caleb. He didn't intervene. He didn't nod. He didn't shake his head. She could, Caleb said. But she's determined. Anna paused for a moment. I have a shift here tonight. The woman nodded without insisting. Maybe another time. She left. Not disappointed. A door had opened. There was no need to step through it immediately. As the sun began to set, Anna went into the shed for a final check. The pups were more stable. The mother was eating well. Anna adjusted the straw, being careful not to touch it too much. Just enough. Caleb stood in the doorway watching. They started questioning her, he said. They asked because they needed to. Anna replied, not because of me. Caleb smiled slightly. That's a good reason. Night falls. Cloudless. A thin moon. Anna goes to her shift as usual. But the rhythm is different. Not heavy. Firm. Caleb wasn't standing at the entrance as usual. He was further away, closer to the main house. The distance was enough to hear the bell, but not enough to create any pressure. Near midnight, Anna heard footsteps, not Caleb's. She stopped and listened. The sound stopped at the fence, then moved on. Someone was passing by. No intention. No turning back, Anna noted. Don't ring the bell. As dawn approached, she extinguished the lamp and hung it back up. The bottle of milk was gone from the door. In its place was a bowl of oatmeal, warm, thick, and just right. No note. Anna ate slowly. Each spoonful was a confirmation that last night had taken more than usual, and someone understood that. In the morning, Caleb stood on the porch looking at the east barn. He said, as if making a decision that needed no discussion, if they need you and you want to, I'll arrange the shift. Anna looked at him. Raven's Reach is still the priority. Caleb nodded. I know. They said nothing more. There was no need to name what was taking shape. It was already taking form in the way they arranged their day and night for each other. At lunchtime, Caleb brought out an old box and placed it on the table on the porch. This is the shift register, he said. I used to keep it. Anna opened it. The handwriting was old, neat, and meticulous. She flipped through a few pages, then closed it. I'll keep a record. Caleb nodded. Chung, it's not about empowerment. It's about sharing responsibility. Late in the afternoon, a gentle breeze arose. Anna checked the bells, the lamps, the straw. Everything was ready. Raven's Reach entered a new night, no further confirmation needed. For those who have lived long enough, the most profound thing isn't the promise to stay, but when someone adjusts their life to make room for you quietly without fanfare. And on that quiet evening, as Anna went to her shift, Caleb stood on the porch, the lamplight behind him, saying nothing, simply being present. After a long night, what remains is not fear, but a rhythm of life that has been divided. The gathering wasn't scheduled by invitation. It happened because the season had arrived at the right time. One late autumn morning, with dew still clinging to the grass, the locals gathered at Raven's Reach, bringing bread, cheese, and short stories to share their harvest of barley. There was no archway, no music, just horse-drawn carriages parked haphazardly, makeshift wooden tables set up on porches, and the smell of early morning fires. Anna Whitlock arrived at the barn very early. She didn't mind how many people were there today. For her, the number of people didn't change the order of her work. She checked the lights, the bells, and the straw, made sure the chicks were standing steadily. Then she washed her hands and hung up her coat. Caleb Morgan stood in the yard, giving gentle instructions where to place the cakes, where to put the water jugs, the path for the cars. He spoke little, but each word was enough. People followed not because of power, but because habit had proven it. When the first person stepped onto the field, eyes immediately sought Anna. Not furtive, not intensely scrutinizing. Just confirmation, as if the community needed to see this image one more time for it to become normal. An older man nodded in greeting. "Are you on duty this morning?" "Yes," Anna replied. "Okay," he said, then changed the subject. Such brief exchanges repeated throughout the evening. No one asked her how long she'd worked there. No one asked why she was on the night shift. Those questions had simply vanished. Around midday, when everyone had finished eating and drinking, Caleb stepped onto the low wooden steps of the storeroom. Not higher than anyone else, just high enough to see each other. He didn't clink glasses. He didn't wait for complete silence. He spoke when the pace of conversation slowed down. "I'm not good at public speaking," he began, his voice even. "So I keep it short." A few people chuckled softly. "Not teasing. Just acquaintance." "Raven's Reach has had a tough year," Caleb continued. "We lost horses. There were difficult births. There were sudden changes in the wind." He paused, looking around. "We're still standing." No one applauded. "Here, standing firm doesn't require applause. What I want to say," Caleb continued, "is that from now on, all night shift operations, delivery, examinations, treatment will be handled by Anna Whitlock. I share the responsibility." He didn't say, "I hand it over." He said, "I share the responsibility." A moment of silence passed. Not heavy. Probably. Anna stood near the cake table, her hands resting on the wooden edge. She didn't step forward. She didn't bow. She stood still, in the same spot. An elderly woman nodded. "That makes sense," she said. Another person added, "Good. That's enough." There were no oaths, no signatures. The names were already placed in their rightful place before those who would remember. The gathering continued. Children ran around. Adults discussed the coming season. Someone asked Anna how to keep the lamp steady in low winds. She gave a short, concise answer. Someone asked about bells. She pointed out where to ring them, how to pull them, and when not to. No one asked who gave permission. No one asked, "Is it safe?" As evening fell, people gradually left. The yard became quiet again. Caleb cleared the table. Anna gathered the leftover straw. They worked as usual after one unusual activity. When the last person left Raven's Reach, Caleb sat down on the porch steps and took off his gloves. He looked out at the empty courtyard. "You don't need to do that," Anna said, her voice calm. Caleb shook his head. "It's necessary. Because of them, because of the rhythm," he replied. Without a name, the rhythm would be distorted. Anna nodded. She understood. The community needed clarity to feel secure, just as the ranch needed procedures to stay afloat. A gentle breeze blew. Caleb stood up. "It's colder tonight." "Yes," Anna said. "I'm starting my shift early." They said nothing more. No need. Night fell. The moon was thin. The light was sufficient. Anna went to conduct her usual inspections, but there was a slight difference. She no longer felt like she was being tested. Not because everyone was completely convinced, but because what needed to be proven had already been sufficiently proven. Near midnight, Anna heard the doorbell ringing at the neighbor's ranch, not Raven's Reach. She stopped and listened. The sound was distant, not incessant. She didn't go. It wasn't her shift. Caleb, standing on the porch, heard it too. He looked into the distance, then turned back. He didn't ask. As dawn approached, Anna extinguished the lamp and hung it back up. There was no milk outside the door. No porridge. Only a thicker coat neatly placed. Anna touched the fabric. Warm. She put it on. It fit. The next morning, another man from the ranch stopped by. "There was a difficult birth on my side last night," he said. "I heard. You know about it." Anna looked at Caleb. He nodded very slightly, not allowing it, confirming the schedule. I have a shift tonight, Anna said. If it's past midnight. The other man nodded. We'll wait. When that person left, Caleb said, if you leave, I'll adjust the shift. Anna replied, Raven's Reach comes first. Caleb nodded. I know. They stood there in the morning light, gazing at the open prairie. There was no need to talk about the distant future. Small things were enough to chart the course. As evening fell, Anna prepared the lamps for the coming night. She trimmed the wicks, checked the bells. The familiar rhythm returned, but with an added layer, the rhythm of community. At night, when Anna went on her shift, Caleb wasn't standing at the entrance. He was further away, as always, once everything was in order. The distance was enough to hear the bell, enough to avoid pressure. A gentle breeze blew. The lamp didn't sway. The stable was still. Raven's Reach enters a new night, not because anyone declares it, but because of a truth already seen. Someone sets the rhythm, and someone shares the responsibility. For those who have lived long enough, being seen isn't about being praised. It's about being placed in the right place, within the larger narrative. And from that small gathering, Anna Whitlock was more than just a ranch night watchwoman. She became part of the rhythm of life, called upon by name when needed, and left alone when not. Caleb Morgan went back inside, switched off the porch light. He didn't look back. He knew the night would pass as it should. The offer came on an unremarkable afternoon. No drums or announcements. No crowded carriages. Just a middle-aged man standing on the porch, hat in hand, his voice neither high nor low, the voice of someone who carefully considers their words before speaking. I'm Henry Walsh, from Willow Bend, he said. I'm here for the night shift. Anna Whitlock wiped her hands on her apron and nodded. Go ahead. Henry looked around. Raven's Reach neat, Penn's clean yard, a clear rhythm of life. We need experienced workers. 2 nights a week. Higher pay than average. Room and board provided. He paused as if to allow what he had just said to settle. Anna didn't answer immediately. She turned to look at Caleb Morgan. He stood by the warehouse door, neither intervening nor nodding. He left the right amount of space. How long? Anna asked. Throughout this season, Henry replied. If things go well, we'll extend it. Anna nodded. I'm on duty here. Henry nodded. I know. I came to ask, not to win. That statement put the offer in the right place. No pressure. No pleading. Anna looked down at the yard where old tire tracks cut across it. I'm on duty tonight, she said. I'll give you my answer tomorrow. Henry nodded and put on his hat. I'll wait. When he left, the yard became quiet again. A gentle breeze blew. Caleb still stood there, his hand resting on the doorframe. You don't need to say anything, Anna said first. Caleb nodded. I know. They continued their work at lunchtime. No one repeated the suggestion. Serious decisions don't need constant discussion. As evening fell, Anna prepared for her night shift earlier than usual. She carefully trimmed the lamp wick, checked the bell, and rearranged the towels. The movements were familiar, but her mind was no longer blank. What does it mean to work at Willow Bend? More money, more responsibilities, more commuting, and less time at Raven's Reach. Anna wasn't afraid of expansion. She was just mindful of the pace. Because once the pace is stretched too much, both people and things pay the price. Night falls. The moon is thin. Anna goes on her shift. Everything is quiet. But quiet in a way that makes one think a lot. Near midnight, Caleb appeared at the entrance unlit. He stood leaning against a pillar, waiting. Willow Bend, he asked, as if confirming he understood. Yes, Anna replied. Caleb nodded. They need people. It's necessary, Anna said. And it will pay well. Caleb didn't ask. Are you going? He said. Raven's Reach is rotating. Anna turned to look at him. Are you sure? Caleb looked toward the stable. We've set the rhythm. We. Not me, Anna noted. He didn't keep her with promises. He kept the ranch with a plan. The night passed. No incidents. Anna worked as usual, but her mind was one step ahead. She weighed her schedule, her energy, her route. Emotionless calculations. In the morning, Anna turned off the light and hung it back up. A small piece of paper lay neatly on the door of her room. If you're going for 2 nights, I'll move the inspection earlier. The backup lights are in the warehouse. No signature. Anna folded the paper and put it in her pocket. That wasn't permission. That was preparation. After breakfast, Henry Walsh returned. He stood waiting but did not enter the yard. "I can answer," Anna said. Henry nodded and took off his hat. "I'll take it," Anna continued, "2 nights a week, not past midnight. Only this season." Henry smiled a slight smile. "Fair." Caleb stood a few steps away. He didn't interrupt. Only after Henry had left did Caleb say, "The calendar, Tuesdays and Fridays," Anna replied. Caleb nodded. "I'll adjust it." No further questions. No unnecessary instructions. In the afternoon, Anna packed Willow Bend's things, not much. Just the essentials. Going to work, not to stay. On the first night at Willow Bend, Anna started her shift early at Raven's Reach, handing over quickly. Caleb checked the bells and auxiliary lights. They didn't say, "Be careful." Those in the profession know when a greeting is unnecessary. Willow Bend was different. Bigger barns, more lights, more people moving around. The night shift wasn't difficult, but it was noisy. Anna kept her own pace, not chasing after the hustle and bustle around her. The small berth went smoothly. No one made a fuss. Once it was done, it was done. Returning to Raven's Reach near dawn, Anna found the porch lights off. Everything was quiet. On the door to her room there was a bottle of milk as usual. No toilet paper. In the morning, Caleb asked, "Are you okay?" "Okay," Anna replied. "Different?" Caleb nodded. A different ranch. Days passed. The new schedule was in motion. On Tuesdays and Fridays, Anna was out. On other nights, she was at Raven's Reach. Caleb adjusted the check-in. The rhythm was uninterrupted. One afternoon, a local stopped by. "I heard you went to Willow Bend." "Yes," Anna said. "Is Raven's Reach okay?" Caleb answered instead in a calm voice. "No." The other man's gaze shifted from Anna to Caleb, then he nodded. Trust was shared equally. On Friday night, Willow Bend encountered a sudden change in wind. A young horse became restless. Anna handled it slowly and steadily. When she returned, she was more tired than usual. On the door of her room there was hot porridge. No words were spoken. The next morning, Anna said, "If they ask for more, I refuse." Caleb didn't ask why. "Okay." Anna looked at him. "It's not because of you." Caleb nodded. "I know." They stood there watching the prairie unfold. The choice had been made not by promise but by limitation. Raven's Reach wasn't left behind when Anna expanded. It was placed at the heart of the decision. And that's what kept everything standing. For those who have lived long enough, freedom is not about how far you go, but about knowing when to stop. Night falls. Anna goes to her shift at Raven's Reach. Caleb is on the porch at their usual distance. The stables are quiet. The lights don't flicker. In that new rhythm of life, they both understood. Expansion does not mean losing one's roots if the roots are nurtured. And that's how they continued, without rushing, without clinging, simply adjusting their lives to remain strong together, even as each spent nights in different places. The incident occurred on Friday night. Not too soon, not too late. Just as Anna Whitlock had finished hanging the last lamp at Raven's Reach, preparing to set off for Willow Bend as scheduled. The wind was low and steady. It wasn't raining. Everything on paper was fine. Caleb Morgan stood on the porch, his hand resting on the wooden railing. "Go early," he said, as always. Anna nodded. "I'll be back before dawn." She was halfway there when she heard the sound of galloping horses behind her. Without turning around, Anna knew something was wrong. The messenger from Willow Bend stopped abruptly, breathless. "Mrs. Whitlock, we're in trouble." Anna dismounted. "Speak." "Local storm. The southern fence has collapsed. 2 mares are in labor at the same time. One is showing signs of a difficult birth." Anna closed her eyes for a brief moment. Not out of fear. Because of her nature. "How many people are on duty?" she asked. 2. But they panicked. Anna nodded. "Lead the way." They hurried along. The wind grew stronger as they approached Willow Bend. The hanging lamps swayed. People ran back and forth. It was noisy without rhythm. Anna stepped into the enclosure before anyone could say another word. She looked around, establishing order with her eyes. The lights stay still. 1 person guard the door. 1 person prepare the water. No one run. Her voice wasn't high-pitched, but it was firm enough to bring everything to a halt. The mare was in a difficult berth, lying on her side. She was breathing heavily. The angle was unfavorable. Anna knelt down, quickly checked her, then turned to the nearest person. Call for more guards. The other one, who's in charge? In the north barn, one of them replied. Maintain the rhythm. Don't interfere yet, Anna said. She focused on the difficult labor. Time dragged on. The wind lashed against the walls. The lights flickered. Anna asked for the light to be dimmed less, more steady. Don't let your eyes be fooled. Things are progressing slowly. Not badly, but not fast enough. In the midst of a convulsion, Anna heard a bell, not Willow Ben's. The sound was distant, low, and familiar. Raven's Reach. Someone ran in. Mrs. Whitlock. Her ranch rang the bell. Anna paused for a split second. No one else saw it, but she saw it clearly, 2 nights overlapping. Why, she asked. It's unclear. The caretaker said there were signs of birth in the crowded pen. Anna looked at the horse in front of her. Its heart rate was high. It wasn't past the critical point yet. She turned to Shift Supervisor Willow Bend. I need to know, did you all follow the instructions? The other man swallowed hard. Okay. Stay in place. Don't add force. If you get stuck, wait, Anna said. I'll come back. Is she leaving? Someone asked, their voice filled with panic. Anna didn't answer that question. She said something else. You've seen me do it. Now I'll do it exactly the same way. She turned around but didn't run. Running would ruin the decision. On the way back to Raven's Reach, the wind lashed fiercely. Anna hunched low, keeping pace with the horse. She wasn't thinking about ifs. She was thinking about sequence. The lights in Raven's Reach were on. Caleb stood at the stable door. His gaze met Anna's, no question, no reproach. The pen is crowded, he said. They were born early. Anna went in immediately. The young mare was restless, not yet in heat. But the signs were clear. Anna checked quickly, then breathed a sigh of relief. We still have time. Caleb hung the lamp low. Willow Bend, I'm following the instructions, Anna replied. If I'm slow, they'll still manage. Caleb nodded. He believed not blindly, but because he had seen it. The contractions came. Anna maintained the rhythm. Caleb held the lamp. No one said much. Everything went smoothly. The baby was born easily, breathing steadily. The mother stood firm. Anna didn't linger. She checked one last time, then turned to leave. I have to go back to Willow Bend. Caleb nodded. Let's go, no advice. No reminders. It's unspoken permission. When Anna returned to Willow Bend, the south stable had been temporarily reinforced. Inside, the mare in labor had passed the critical point but was still weak. The caretaker had done as instructed. The lights were steady. No panic. Anna took over, making a few minor adjustments. No criticism. No need. An hour later, the calf was breathing steadily. The mother lay still. Everything was fine, not perfect, but out of danger. It was nearly dawn. Anna stood outside the barn, the wind subsiding. She felt tired, a deep, quiet kind of tiredness. Willow Bend's men approached. We apologize. Anna shook her head. You've already done it. She chose to return to her ranch, the other man said, not reproachfully, merely confirming. Anna looked east, where the sky was fading. I chose the right order. When Anna returned to Raven's Reach, it was just dawn. Caleb was standing on the porch. No coffee. No milk. Just his presence. Are both places all right? He asked. It's fine, Anna replied. Because everyone did the right thing. Caleb nodded. She's made a difficult choice. Anna hung up her coat. No, I choose what I need. They stood there for a while. The wind was cool. The stable was quiet. 2 nights had passed, leaving one thing clear. Freedom is not about being unbound, but about knowing which bonds should not be abandoned. At lunchtime, Henry Walsh stopped by Raven's Reach. He took off his hat. Last night, we saw you return halfway through. Anna looked at him. Raven's Reach rings the bell. Henry nodded. I understand. He paused. If you wish, we'll keep the old schedule. No additions. Anna nodded. That's enough. As Henry left, Caleb said she owes no one an explanation. Anna replied, I know. Evening falls. Anna starts her shift at Raven's Reach. A familiar rhythm, but inside there's an added layer of certainty. At night, when she went for the final check, Caleb stood at a distance just right. Not closer. Not further. Far enough to hear the bell. Raven's Reach doesn't need to compete with Willow Bend. It just needs to be chosen at the right time. And on that night when she had to choose, Anna Whitlock didn't choose one over the other. She chose the order of responsibility, the very thing that carried her far without losing herself. After the night of forced choice, Raven's Reach slowly returned to normalcy. There were no noisy aftershocks, no lingering gossip, just life returning to its normal rhythm, as if this land had become accustomed to accepting and letting go of difficult things without needing to remember them in words. Anna Whitlock slept soundly for the first time in many nights. No dreams. When she woke up, she didn't feel any heaviness in her chest, just a pleasant fatigue, the kind of fatigue that comes from having accomplished what needed to be done. In the morning, she went out onto the porch and saw Caleb Morgan repairing the door latch. He worked slowly, unhurriedly, as if each movement had its own time. "This door creaks," he said. "It's been a long time," Anna replied. Caleb nodded. He didn't elaborate. Small things are often fixed when people stop chasing big issues. They ate breakfast in silence, not because they lacked things to talk about, but because they already had enough to talk about that morning. By noon, Anna rearranged her schedule book. The new pages added Willow Bend's schedule regular limited. She didn't add or subtract. No experiment. Limits were what kept expansion from becoming disintegration. Caleb looked at the notebook and said, "If winter comes early, I'll reduce the number of night classes." Anna looked up. "I'll make it up." Caleb nodded. "I know. They didn't say thank you. It wasn't necessary." As evening fell, the wind softened. Anna walked around the pens, checking that the puppies were well. She lingered longer in the eastern pen where the difficult birth had taken place. Not to remember, to confirm. When it got dark, Anna went to her shift as usual. Caleb wasn't standing at the entrance. He was on the main porch, the lights behind him, at a familiar distance. Near midnight, when everything was quiet, Caleb moved a little closer. Not into the shed. Just standing close enough to hear Anna's footsteps on the wooden floor. "Are you tired?" he asked. "Yes," Anna replied. "Enough." Caleb was silent. Then he said slowly, "I think about, what if one day she's no longer here?" Anna paused, turning around. Not surprised. This question didn't stem from fear, but from calculation. "What do you think?" she asked. Caleb looked out at the prairie. Raven's Reach can still rotate, but the rhythm will be different. Anna nodded. "Yes." Caleb turned back, his gaze direct, not pleading. "I don't want to hold you back. I want to know if you stay long-term. What does long-term mean to you?" Anna thought for a moment. No need to rush. This wasn't a question to answer to reassure someone else. "Long-term," she said, "is when I still choose to stay, even if other places pay more or are more peaceful. It's when I can go 2 nights a week, then come back, and Raven's Reach doesn't feel left behind." Caleb nodded. "I want that. I want," Anna repeated. "Not that I need it." Caleb smiled very slightly. "Yes." They were silent. The wind blew through the walls. The lamp didn't sway. "And you?" Anna asked. "What does long-term mean to you?" Caleb sighed. "It's when I don't have to figure everything out alone. It's when I can say I'm not okay tonight without feeling weak." Anna looked at him longer than usual. "You did." "With her," Caleb said. Anna nodded. "That's enough. No promises. No deadlines. Those who have lived long enough know that promises are easier than keeping a rhythm." The night passed. No incidents. Anna did one last round, then turned off the lights. Outside the room there were 2 things, a cup of hot tea and her songbook, open to a blank page. Anna picked up her teacup and took a sip. Then she wrote in her notebook, not her calendar, but a short line: "If winter arrives early, prioritize Raven's Reach. Willow Bend will keep its original schedule." She closed the notebook and put it back down. The next morning, Caleb read the inscription. He didn't ask any questions. He underlined it, a thin, firm line. Locals dropped by sporadically. Someone asked Anna about the winter schedule. She answered briefly. "Well?" Someone asked Caleb if Raven's Reach was accepting new members. He said, "Not yet. No one is asking." In the afternoon, Anna and Caleb repaired the roof of the west barn. They worked in parallel, unhurriedly. After a while, Caleb said, as if it were a matter of time, "If you wish, I will put your name on the paperwork for the winter hay." Anna put the hammer down. "No need." Caleb nodded, not disappointed. He understood the difference between dividing work and dividing ownership. I just need the right to decide which shift to work, Anna added. She already has one, Caleb replied. They looked at each other. An agreement that didn't need signing. As night fell, the weather grew colder. Anna put on a thick coat. Caleb hung up extra lights without asking. When Anna went on her shift, Caleb stood on the porch. The distance was familiar, but the look was different, not heavy, not restrained, acknowledging it. Raven's reach doesn't change shape, but inside it has more space to breathe. For those who have lived half their lives, staying is not about stopping. Staying is about continuing to choose each day under clearly stated conditions. And in that quiet night, Anna Whitlock didn't feel held back. She felt right there, close enough to share responsibility, far enough away not to lose herself. Caleb Morgan went back inside, switching off the porch light. He didn't look back. He knew if the doorbell rang, someone would come. Not out of obligation, but because it was the rhythm they had chosen together. If you wish I can continue, part 14 inches. This direction times winter arrives early. A long-term challenge to test the resilience of the new rhythm. Or, asterisk. A personal event from Anna's past is revealed, helping to understand why she values boundaries and freedom so much. You choose the direction, and I'll continue writing right away. Please write the next part, 1,200 words. Below is part 14, P14, approximately 1,200 words, continuing the story in the direction of the early arrival of winter, a long, drawn-out ordeal that doesn't immediately become dramatic but gradually erodes endurance, forcing Anna and Caleb to maintain their rhythm in the cold, dark and silent, where their bond is proven by perseverance, not words. Part 14, winter comes early. Winter arrives without warning, bringing storms. It arrives with the changing scent carried by the wind. Anna Whitlock realized this one morning when the grass was still covered in dew that hadn't melted, not because of a sudden cold, but because of a persistent cold, a lingering cold. She put on a thicker coat and walked around the stable. The horse's breath was palpable in the air. The young horse shivered slightly as it stood up, then settled down. Anna adjusted the straw, not too much, just enough to keep it warm without being damp. Caleb Morgan appeared on the porch holding a list of hay. He looked at the sky without smiling. Earlier than usual this year. Yes, Anna said. But that's not surprising. They had prepared on paper. But paper doesn't withstand the cold. People do. The early days of winter passed by in a frantic pace, shortened check-in times, extra lights, and morning test bells. Anna reduced Willow Bend's shift to just one night, not because she couldn't handle it, but because the nights were longer. Caleb didn't object. He adjusted the schedule, moving the inspection earlier so that the coldest part of the night could be divided. During the second week, the wind changed direction. Not strong, but biting. The wood creaked. The lights vibrated slightly. Anna increased the frequency of her checks, not running, just walking steadily. Each lap was a confirmation that everything was still standing. Some nights there was no incident, except silence. Winter silence is unlike summer silence. It's heavy. It lingers. Anna learned not to resist. She breathed slowly, kept her hands warm, kept the lamp steady. Caleb began bringing firewood out onto the porch before dark. He didn't ask Anna how much she needed. He brought enough for 2 nights. When he ran out, he replenished without saying. The third week, the snow fell lightly. Not completely, but enough to erase the marks. Anna rang the bell to test it. The sound was duller. She noted in her notebook, light snow, low lights, walk close. Caleb read, underlined. One night, the wind was unusually calm. The cold intensified. Anna noticed the old horse was breathing more heavily. It wasn't giving birth. It was just the cold taking its toll. She prepared warm water and gave it to the horse little by little. No forcing it. No rushing. Caleb stood at the barn door. I'm changing my lap next. Anna shook her head. We're switching shifts. They switched shifts, no argument. Shift changes are how winter teaches people to survive. By the 4th week, the fatigue began to quiet down. It manifested in stiffer shoulders, shorter strides, and mornings requiring an extra step to stand upright. Anna recognized the signs in herself. She reduced her nighttime laps not out of fear of weakness, but because she wanted to maintain her stamina. Caleb didn't ask. Are you all right? He said. I'm turning up the lights in the winter shed. Okay, Anna replied. One afternoon, a local man stopped by bringing some hay. He didn't say help. He just said, "This season is long." Caleb received it. Anna recorded it. The community doesn't ask unnecessary questions in the winter. That night, the snow fell heavier than expected. The wind swirled. The lights rattled. Anna pulled the doorbell not to signal danger but to indicate a change in rhythm. Caleb appeared immediately. "Western barn," Anna said. "The roof." They walked together. Not running. The wind lashed, the cold biting. The roof creaked. Caleb wedged wood. Anna kept the lamp low. They worked in focused silence. Each movement had a reason. When they finished, they stood there, catching their breath turning white. No smiles. No complaints. "Let's have some tea," Caleb said. They went inside. Hot tea. Warm hands. A small victory enough for the night. In the 5th week, Anna received news from Willow Bend. They were requesting a postponement. The roads were slippery. Dangerous. Anna readily agreed without hesitation. She noted Raven's Reach's priority until the cold weather is over. Caleb looked at the writing and nodded. That's right. A long, moonless night. Anna walked around to the end and saw the porch lights were brighter than usual. Caleb had increased the oil. No notice. Winter care didn't need to be noticed. The next morning, Anna slept for another hour. When she woke up, a bowl of porridge was already prepared. No words were spoken. She ate, feeling strong enough to continue her journey. By the 6th week, the cold had lessened. The snow had stopped falling. The sky was gray. Winter lingered, but it didn't attack. Anna and Caleb sat on the porch on a rare sunny afternoon. They didn't say much. The light was dim, but real. "We've kept the rhythm," Caleb said as a comment. "Not finished yet," Anna replied. "But we're standing." Caleb smiled very slightly. "Standing is enough." At night, Anna went on her shift. There were no incidents. But this peace came at a price. The price of regular routines, small decisions, and timely shift changes. As dawn approached, Anna extinguished the lamp and hung it back up. Outside the door lay a woolen scarf, new but not flashy. She touched it. Warm. In the morning, Anna left her towel on the porch. Caleb saw it and nodded. No one said anything. Winter isn't over yet. But Raven's Reach has learned how to navigate through it, not quickly, not recklessly, just by maintaining a general rhythm. For those who have lived long enough, winter doesn't teach anything new. It only asks, can you hold on to what you've chosen? And in that persistent cold, Anna Whitlock and Caleb Morgan didn't need promises. They needed to keep doing what was right day after day, enough so that when spring came, everything would still be intact. Spring doesn't arrive with shouts of joy. It arrived with the smell of damp earth. Anna Whitlock realized one very early morning as she stepped out onto the porch that the night ice had melted into thin streaks of water slowly trickling down the hard ground. There was no more whistling wind, no more lingering chill on her wrists, just a very familiar feeling the earth was ready to receive something new. She stood still for a long time, taking a deep breath. No smile, no hurry to go back inside. Spring for Anna had never been something to celebrate. It was another test lighter than winter, but no less demanding. Caleb Morgan was in the west barn, removing some of the windbreaks. He did it slowly, carefully, as if afraid of disturbing the soil too quickly. When Anna approached, he looked up. "It's over," he said. "Not exactly," Anna replied. "But enough to get you started." They looked around Raven's Reach. The fences were still standing. The pens were still in place. The lights, the bells, the watchman's logbook, everything was still there. Nothing new had been erected after the winter. But a great deal had been kept. The early days of spring passed with a gradual loosening of pace, reducing the night lights, shortening the inspection rounds, and opening the barn doors earlier. Anna took careful notes. Caleb followed suit. No one said, "Finally, we're through," because they knew they succeeded, thanks to not being complacent. People from the area began visiting Raven's Reach more often. Not because they needed help, but because they wanted to see how the place still stood after an early winter. They saw clean stables. They saw healthy horses. They saw a pace of life that was neither hurried nor lax. And they saw Anna Whitlock not in the background, not in the front, but in the right place, One afternoon, while everyone was gathered repairing the communal water pipes, a man casually remarked, "I heard that Raven's Reach didn't lose a single one this past winter." Caleb replied calmly, "No." The other person nodded. Then their gaze shifted to Anna. They asked no further questions. That afternoon, Caleb and Anna sat on the porch, revising the songbook for the new season. Blank pages opened. Not emptiness, but possibility. "Willow Bend asked again," Caleb said. "They want to keep the old schedule." Anna nodded. "One night. No more." Caleb wrote it. No argument. Then he stopped writing. He looked at the notebook. He looked at the yard. "I think we should make it clear to everyone." Anna wasn't surprised. "What did you say?" "It's about her being here," Caleb said. "Not just for this season." Anna paused for a moment, not out of hesitation, but to consider how to speak in a way that wouldn't ruin anything. "No meeting needed," she said. "No announcement needed." Caleb nodded. "Just one meal. That's enough." The meal took place on a pleasant sunny afternoon. There was no invitation. Just word of mouth. Raven's Reach was inviting them to dinner to celebrate the end of winter. Not many people came, but enough. They brought bread, cheese, and cured meat. Children ran around. Adults stood in small groups talking about the harvest, the price of grass, and the water supply. Anna was busy at the outdoor kitchen table, not avoiding the gaze, not searching for it. She was working as usual, and that was reassuring. As the sun sank low, Caleb stepped onto the familiar wooden steps. Not high, not in the center, just a place where everyone could hear. "I'll keep it short," he began as usual. "This past winter was long. We didn't get through it by luck." He paused. He looked around. "I want to make it clear from now on, Anna Whitlock is not just in charge of the night shift. She's working with me to keep Raven's Reach running." No one whispered. No one asked, "What does that mean?" Anna stood a few steps away. She neither moved forward nor backward. Caleb continued, "That doesn't change the way we work. It just names what happened." An elderly woman nodded. "That's right." Another person added, "We saw it." No applause. "Not necessary." The meal continued. The conversation shifted back to the weather, the planting season, the children growing up so quickly. No one repeated Caleb's words. The acceptance here didn't need to be repeated. As everyone left, the yard gradually emptied. The last rays of sunlight fell on the fence. Anna gathered the dishes. Caleb cleared the table. "He didn't ask if I agreed," Anna said, her voice flat. Caleb replied, "I listened to you all winter." Anna nodded. "That's enough." They stood there for a while, gazing at Raven's Reach in the afternoon light. They didn't talk about the distant future. They didn't set any timelines. Adults don't need to frame what they're living well in. Night falls. Anna goes to her shift, not because she needs to, but because it's her job. Caleb is on the porch at their usual distance. The lamp doesn't flicker. The stable is quiet. Near dawn, Anna turned off the lamp and hung it back up. Outside the room, there was no milk, no porridge, only a small object, a key. No card, no message. Anna picked it up. She looked at it for a moment. Then she hung it on the hook by the door. She didn't take it with her. In the morning, Caleb found the keys there. He didn't ask. He just nodded very slightly. Spring continues to arrive. The grass is greener. The horses are strong. There is more work, but it's not as hard as before. Anna set up a small corner in the barn and taught a few young women how to keep watch safely at night, how to set the lights, how to maintain rhythm, how to avoid being distracted by chatter. No lectures. Just demonstrations. Caleb didn't interfere. He just made sure everything was sufficient. Years later, people will say Raven's Reach is a stable ranch. Not big, not rich, but reliable. And if someone were to ask what keeps this place standing, the answer wouldn't be love or sacrifice or vows. It will be very simple. There are people who don't diminish each other's lives. They simply give each other a place to stand. Anna Whitlock was not saved. Caleb Morgan did not become a hero. They simply chose the right time long enough so that when spring returns, there's no need to name anything. Everything will still be there. If you've followed this story this far, you probably understand one thing very well. Life doesn't get easier when you have someone by your side. But it's less lonely. Mature love isn't about salvation or sacrifice, but about staying long enough to keep the rhythm of love alive together. If Anna and Caleb make you pause for a moment, remind you of yourself. Someone who has gone through enough loss to understand that the most precious thing is not passion but enduring presence. Please, like to support stories that don't need dramatic twists. Share to send it to a friend you think will understand. And subscribe to continue following Frontier Hearts, where dignity, hard work, and kindness still have a place amidst life's harsh seasons. Thank you for staying until the end. There are stories that just need to be told slowly, and that's enough.